Hello there everybody, welcome back to another episode of Try New Things, where today we find ourselves out here on the farm on the first Saturday of March 2025. Back just after Christmas, I ordered a bunch of trees from Gurney's. Now if I'm completely honest, I can't remember with 100% certainty what it was that I ordered back then, but they showed up at the house, so it's time to plant them. A little earlier than I thought it would be. It's a fairly nice day, still a little nippy, but one of the trees I remember ordering were 3 hardy almond, and those are almonds that can grow in zone 6B, which is where we are. So I'm going to start right now by planting the hardy almonds first, and then we'll go around, and as I unbox what it is I bought, I'll reveal it to you and let you know. Well, there's one thing I remember ordering that's not here, and that's 2 different kinds of cherry trees. So apparently Gurney sent me a partial order delivery. All I got today was my apples and my almonds. So before I wrap up the video, I'll wait and make sure that the rest of my tree order has arrived so I can show you all the trees that we ordered for the TNT farm this year. So now we're going to take a trip down the hill to the bottom of the orchard, and we're going to plant the apple trees we ordered, and I'll tell you which ones we picked up. I am going to have to come back around and pick up all the rocks that we dug up, but that shouldn't take long. Not as many rocks as I figured we would. So we're down here in the orchard now, and most of these apple trees we planted, this will be the 3rd year on these apple trees, so fingers crossed we'll get an apple this year. But you can see that the ground down here on the hill is a lot rockier than it is up the hill. As well as that, it used to be covered in cedar trees, so I still have a bunch of old cedar roots to work around. But that's why I use the backhoe to dig a bigger hole than I really need, and that's to get through the rocks and whatnot. Here's the rest of what came in the box so far. Again, the cherries didn't make it. I also believe I ordered something called honeyberries. Not 100% sure. I intended to order honeyberries. I'll have to go back and check and see if I actually did. This receipt doesn't tell me what I ordered and hasn't been delivered, just what I ordered and was delivered. But here in the orchard, we are now going to plant 1 Sundance apple, 2 Triumph apple. Once we get done planting those 3 trees here in the main orchard, we're going to go over to our smaller one and we're going to plant our Asian pear. It's kind of an apple, not really an apple, but it's going to go over with some other peaches and plums and pear trees over. It's not too far, it's just on the other side of the trees here. But anyway, 4 trees left to plant today, and then at the end of the video, if I did order honeyberries, we'll be planting some honeyberries and some cherry trees. So there we have 3 apple trees planted, and that brings our total number of apple trees in our apple tree orchard up to 15. And I think that's going to do it for this little orchard. It's going to be pretty much full. Down here on the slope, we've got an awful lot more rocks to deal with, so I got more rocks to pick up, and I had to bring in some supplemental topsoil to make up for the volume of the rocks that I removed in each of the holes. Let's go plant that Asian pear, and then we'll wait for our cherries. And there we go, Asian pear, our 7th and final tree to plant for the day. Like I said, I gotta wait for the rest of my order to get everything else planted. But now it's time to come back around and pick up these rocks and put in some temporary cages to try to protect these guys from the deer. Hey friends, it's another weekend here on the farm, and got another delivery from Gurney's this week. I also confirmed that I did order 4 honeyberries, 2 different kinds, 2 each. They didn't show up yet, but my cherries did show up. And what I ended up ordering was a dwarf Juliet and a dwarf Wowza cherry. So that's what we're going to be planting today. is the Juliet and the Wowza out by my mature cherry tree out at the front of the property. And then later on, when my honeyberries come, we'll wrap up this video. So there is the Juliet cherry all planted. Gotta come back and pick up some rocks like normal. Maybe put a little bit more topsoil around the bottom. And then over here, this is my mature cherry tree. Then on the far side is where we planted the Wowza cherry. Now both the ones we just planted are more of a bush cherry than a tree cherry. So I'm interested to see how that's going to work out. They should be easy to pick though. So all we're waiting on now is the honeyberries to show up. Not sure when they're going to come, but we'll get them in the ground as soon as they arrive. Well, good morning everybody. Today is obviously a different day and it's a different month. It's the beginning of April. And the last of my plants for my orchard expansion 2025 have finally arrived. The honeyberries are here. And I ordered two kinds of honeyberries. I got Kauai and Maxines. So I'm going to plant those here between the almonds, and then we're going to wrap up 2025's orchard expansion. And it may be the end of the orchard expansion because I'm running out of room. But anyways, let's get these honeyberries in the ground, and then I'll follow up with you. So here's our Maxine Opus honeyberries, and they came already leafed out, looking pretty healthy. Hopefully they stay that way. And then over here is the Kauai honeyberries, and they are starting to bud, and hopefully they do well as well. So the only thing left to do now is to put some temporary cages around them to protect them from the deer and the rabbits. I'll come back and put permanent cages around them a little bit later. But that's going to wrap it up for our orchard expansion 2025. I know the honeyberries weren't really trees, but they are a fruit-bearing bush or shrub. So I'm going to include them. And to be fair, the cherries are bush cherries as well. But anyway, we want a little bit of fruit diversity here on the farm, and I think we've achieved that. If you have any questions or comments about this video or any of my videos, as always, leave them below. Before you head out, give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. We'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. So now we're going to take a quick break to thank this week's sponsor. And this week's sponsor, like every week's sponsor, is me, Chris Gladstone with TNT Try New Things, where I have started a new website link partnering with Buy Me a Coffee as an opportunity for you to check out some of the items I have for sale that you have probably watched the videos on me making. It's also an opportunity to sponsor the channel directly, either through buying me a coffee, or if you're feeling particularly generous, signing up for an annual membership. With that, I'm going to go back to the video.